Hey, what's going on? It's Michael. Today I'm going to talk to you about this Outfeed table that I built for this compact DeWalt job site table saw. I'll show you how I built it, what I like about it, what I don't like about it. We're going to change a couple of those, or one of those today. And I'll show you how you can go about building one for yourself. And we're even going to modify and do it for another model table saw that I have. So if that sounds interesting, stick around and we'll get into it. Lucy. Okay, so let's start off with the table saw. This is the DeWalt 7485 8¼ compact job site table saw, the corded model. So yeah, all I did was I made a plywood bracket out of just some scrap that I had laying around. The important thing with this is just to cut it so that the saw can still tip to 45 and all that stuff. But I just bolted it on through the frame of the saw, drilled some holes, used some washers and nuts. And the table itself connects with these little furniture clips. I believe I got these at Rockler. I'm sure you could probably find them on Amazon. And you can see how easy that is. I just did it one-handed. The table is just a scrap piece of plywood, some pre-finished plywood that I had laying around that I cut a big handle hole in, rounded it over. I cut these mortises for the miter gauges, miter slots. So I have a shim jig that I use, so I can still use that. That slides in the miter slot. So I can still use that and any other accessory that I would need to use. The legs are just a simple frame, pocket hole, glued and pocket hole together with some butt hinges. And then I just have a piece of 1x pocket hold onto there to keep the legs from kicking out. And some adjustable feet. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There's another shot of that. So you just kind of, for your particular saw, you just kind of have to figure out a shape that works, that you can still get the fence on and off is a big important thing. You want to put all that work in there and realize you can't take your fence off or put it on. So yeah, my opinion on the Outfeed table is that for me it's pretty much a necessity. Otherwise you have to have two people to rip like a long board, like a 16-foot board, safely and accurately, or you have to have one of those rolling Outfeed things, and I hate those things. They're always falling over. They're never adjusted quite right. You know, they slide off and they're just a pain. So to me, it's worth it just having continuous Outfeed. You can focus on making your cut, and you're not having to look and worry about whether or not your piece is falling off your roller or whatever. So yeah, let me take this thing off and I'll kind of show you what it looks like on the underside. But as you can see, it's super simple. I think I knocked this together in like an hour tops maybe. But yeah, so for storage, I've just got a couple of pieces of scrap plywood and a mending plate that I had laying around, and it just flips out of the way and back down for storage. One of the improvements that I'm going to make is don't buy these adjustable feet. They suck. As you can see, they've been pounded in and they always fall out, so they're a pain. So I've got some different ones, and we'll go ahead and swap those out. But yeah, just skip those and buy the ones that I'm going to show you. All right, yeah, so we're going to swap these out for, I got this style here, much better. 4 screws attaches to the frame. Got this nut that locks it down. So we'll just go ahead and throw these on real quick. All right, done deal. Let's try it out. All right, so like I said, you just flip this out of the way. These guys go down. Hooks on. Much better. All right, now I'm going to see if I can come up with a way to do the same thing on this saw. I'm just going to use the same table, but create a bracket for this saw. This is my saw. This is the one that belongs on my van. Kind of got to move around a little bit to get out of the way of the sun. So I'll show you one of the things I like about this saw over that saw, and that is to move it like this. Base is separate, so moving it is a bit of a pain. It's doable, but you got to kind of take the table off and pick it up. Whereas this, you'd still have to take the table off, but you just pick it up and move it. And then also, the legs fold up. You don't have to worry about storing an extra piece. This is a 10-inch table saw. It's an 8 1/4-inch table saw. This is not a review video for the table saws, but just kind of quick opinion. I prefer this one, but this one's good too. One improvement that I may make in the future, and if you have one of these saws, you might want to look into doing as well, is like putting some kind of magnets or something so you can just stick the stand on here and not have to carry them separately. But as it is right now, it's really not that bad. Just kind of a minor thing. So, all right, let's look at this thing and see if we can't come up with something. Okay, so I've got the saw, or I've got the fence stored how I want to store it, right? So it clips on underneath and flips upside down, and then that locks down. So I want to be able to still do that. So in order to be able to do that, here's what I'm thinking. Need a little piece that I'll bolt onto there to get me out past here. And then I'll probably make it out of a bigger piece and just have this L up, right? And then over, and then there's that little bolt there, so I just force and bitted that out. And then the same, similar anyway, on the other side. Have that come out, and we'll have it come up. So yeah, I want to be able to take this off and not have to worry about having it come out. So I'm just gonna see. So that needs to be about, I think 5.5 would be a safe number. I've had a bit of a think, and this is what I've come up with. So if you can see, the fence is stored. I like to store the fence down for storage in the van and such. But so that's pretty much what I get. So on this side, because of the way the fence is, I needed to block it out a little bit, so I just added a piece here, and then there's that screw there, so I just mortised out with a Forstner bit. That should work good. The other side, I won't need that extra piece there, but that should work fine. I'm gonna flip the fence up to the top and just make sure everything jives, no issues. But I should just be able to sink a couple of bolts right through there, and put a cross member on the top, and we should be in business. All right, so I got the saw, or the fence up on the saw, and I've got it tipped all the way over, and it looks like it's gonna work fine. Remember, on this side, I don't need a double up, so we shouldn't be impeding anything. Everything should work, so I'm gonna cut another one of these, and we'll get to bolting it to the saw. All right, so I got the other side cut, and everything's gonna jive. Should work out good. So I went ahead and marked where I was gonna drill some holes, and then I just set them. I just used my spring punch to get those started. So I got a 3/8 drill bit chucked up. That should give me some adjustment should I need it. So we'll get these holes drilled. so let's see. Put the bolts through. Oh, gotta do it the right way around. So that's a problem. I need longer bolts. Bummer. All right, let's do the other side. So the bolts. Bolts. Son of a bitch. Yeah, I need longer bolts. All right, let me look and see what I got. All right, so I found some slightly longer bolts, but I think they're gonna work. That should work. All right, so I'm a dummy. Did the wrong side, so I got to fix that real quick. All right, so I went ahead and redid that. Went ahead and remade that piece there on the back as well. And let's see if it works with those bolts. Alright, yeah, that's gonna work. Alright, so now all we gotta do is mark this guy. So it would be nice if I could get this exactly flush, but it doesn't need to be. So I've set my compass to about a strong 16, so I'm just gonna set this on here flat. Just grab a line, same on the other side. Alright, so I'll take them off and cut it and put them back. So I got this cut. So pop these guys back on here. So next is I'm going to put a piece of wood here, something like that, and put the clips on. That's pretty much it. Okay, so I got a couple of pieces of scrap sapele screwed in with 1 3/4 screws, and now this thing is really sturdy. You shake it, the whole saw shakes. So on this scrap board here, I marked where the furniture clips are. And so I'm just going to lay that out here and go ahead and install those. Alright, so just going to move this table over. Okay, so I've got think it's closer to an 1/8 here, but like I said, I would rather that be a little lower. And then so what I'll do is I'll just adjust the feet, which this happened to work out perfectly here, but to where the backside is up so that the piece isn't falling the whole time. But yeah, so we'll make a couple rips, test this thing out. So that pretty much wraps up the video. So should give you a pretty good idea of how to create a outfeed table for your table saw. These builds usually go like this for me. I usually run into problems, do things wrong, kind of have to redo them and readjust on the fly. I never make like full-on plans for anything like this. I just kind of wing it, as you can tell. So I've included some mistakes and stuff like that that I made along the way, but it's all part of the process. So yeah, so you can take any of the ideas that I gave you and copy them exactly or do them a little better, and make your own table saw outfeed table. That's what it's all about. I got these ideas from a couple of different guys. Spencer Lewis has a really good table saw outfeed table. Frank Carpenter 13 on Instagram, Chicago Carpenter on Instagram. Go check those guys out. They have some pretty cool ideas as well on how to get this done. I think they all have different saw models than these. So, all right, that pretty much wraps it up. I'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.